Could we travel through a black hole and come out the other side? It's a very interesting question. And most scientists will tell you that a black hole, when you're entering into the singularity here, that you'll pass the event horizon. Okay? And a thing called spaghettification will start occurring. And the spaghettification is where something at the beginning and near the top will not enter as fast as something that's closer. For example, a person standing here getting sucked in, their feet would go in first. Now, this is all well and good, and let us go over here and let me just draw a black hole here. Dotted line is for the part of the sphere that's coming towards us. Of course, these are to the sides here, and this design spaghettification works well until you remember that first off, we're not a straight line, but even if we were a straight line, let's draw a straight line and imagine that this straight line right here is your feet. First off, let me remind you that humans are not perfectly straight. Humans have contours, shapes, and curves. Okay, now even if this right here were true and we were flat, then what would happen is this point right here would get absorbed here. But then due to the fact that it's curved, it would create this to start curving and then coming in small intervals right here and here, ultimately becoming what I would like to refer to as harp strings. And what it is this point here will go straight towards the nearest point, while this point would go towards its nearest point. It will always go to the nearest point of the singularity, essentially going in a straight line straight towards the center. Now, what this will create are lines, no matter how small of a increment difference there are, it will end up looking like this in a harp string almost formation, making all atoms and molecules approach their own singularity individually and creating lines that will then enter towards the center of the black hole and the singularity. So what you would have to do if you wanted to travel through a black hole, then each individual atom sitting up here at the top, each molecule would have to have its own, it would have to be a smart cell. Okay, each one of these cells, as it's going down, would have to know where every other cell is located and have to be able to reattach, reconfigure into the same shape that they were before while not getting mixed up with other molecules that are getting compressed to the singularity down here. Otherwise, you could have a person coming out as part of a planet or part of a table and not being a biological entity. And biological, the force from a black hole on a biological entity would also mean that you would have to have something here to withstand the force. And like I said, for the these smart cells would have to have some sort of defense and also would have to be able to reassemble themselves on the other side. Now, assuming you could do all that, there's still the issue of consciousness and the ability to retain consciousness after the separation, which means you would have to pass your consciousness into these cells and then retrieve them after you came back into a being and reassembled on the other side.